Finally, before we go to calls, Congressman Kucinich, you serve on the Oversight and Government Reform Committee. You serve as the ranking member on that committee. Jim Jordan, a fellow Ohioan and Republican Study Committee chairman, is the chairman of that committee as well. So I want to ask you about two things: your relationship with Republican Study Committee Chairman Jim Jordan, Republican of Ohio, and your relationship with your new governor, Governor Kasich.
Well, first of all, I'm the ranking member on the subcommittee that Mr. Jordan chairs that deals with regulation and federal spending. I've always had a good relationship with Jim Jordan. He's solid. He's unaffected, unassuming, and just straight from the shoulder kind of guy. I also remember when he first came to Congress and we sat in a committee together, I thought maybe I shouldn't tangle with this guy. He's a wrestling champ. You know? He's a good man, and we have serious differences politically. We won't paper over them. But the important thing about being in Washington is that you shouldn't base your friendships on whether or not you agree with someone ideologically. It's about who the person is. He's a good person. We'll have some serious debates at the subcommittee level. But I'm proud to be his friend. And as far as Governor Kasich, I served with then Congressman Kucinich in the United States Congress. He's very strong and he's very knowledgeable, and he's made some decisions early on that I wouldn't have made, canceling our participation in high-speed rail. I think that's a problem. But it's his call. He's the governor, and I think that Ohio has some real opportunities. The thing that I'd be advising him on: look for ways to create jobs, protect Lake Erie, that water resource, and do something about improving our public schools.
Have you gotten your meeting with Private Manning yet?
No, I haven't heard back from Secretary Gates. I've sent him 2 letters indicating my concern about the treatment of Private Manning. I think that it's, you know, whether Private Manning is guilty or innocent, separate issue. How he's treated while in confinement and when he's in the care and custody of the U.S. Department of Defense, that's a huge matter. Because if he doesn't have basic constitutional protections, specifically to be protected from cruel and unusual punishment while awaiting trial, that needs to be made a matter of public interest. And so I'm seeking a meeting, a visit with Private Manning to see if these reports about his deteriorating mental condition have any validity, and to make sure that our role as people who are involved in oversight in Congress is faithfully fulfilled.
First call up for Congressman Dennis Kucinich, Democrat of Ohio, comes from Danville, Ohio. Jim on our Republican line. Go ahead, Jim.
Yes, Mr. Kucinich, how many representatives do we have in Ohio?
18.
And do they have an office in Ohio and Washington?
Yes, every member of Congress has an office here, and at least one office in the home district. In my district, I have an office in Lakewood, Ohio, and an office in Parma, Ohio. So members have at least 2, sometimes 3 or more offices.
All right, Jim, do you have a follow-up?
And yeah, there seems like a lot of offices and things, and a lot of people, and we got Congress, and we got the Senate, and we got a governor and stuff. Why do we need so many government people?
All
right, Jim, thank you. Congressman Kucinich.
Yeah, the government's organized at different levels. I mean, there's a local government, which is closest to the people. I had the opportunity to serve in city council and also as mayor of Cleveland. And that's a government which deals directly with providing services to people on a daily basis: police, fire, EMS, street repair. And then you have your state government, which you know, collects taxes and distributes them to hopefully keep schools going and medical and other vital services, keep the roads in repair. In some cases, states are organized, so you have strong county governments which have a role in providing social services. And then on the federal level, we've come together as a collection of states to be able to, in the words of the preamble, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, secure the blessings of liberty for ourselves and our posterity. So there's different purposes at every level of government.
This tweet has come in for you, Congressman Kucinich. J.B. Fucht wants to know, how many Ohio Democrats, in your view, have their votes constrained because of gerrymandered districts? Count me as one, he says.
If you're talking about voters or members of Congress, what's...
He's talking about voters. Yeah, he's talking about Ohio Democrats.
Well, you know, gerrymandering is a fact, and what it essentially means is that you can draw a district in order to strengthen a person's standing, all Republicans in one district, all Democrats in another, or a large number of Republicans in one, and you carve out a few Democrats to kind of dilute the effectiveness of the Democrats who might be joined to another district where there might be more Democrats. In some cases, there can be a dilution of effectiveness of one party or another. That's the nature of gerrymandering, frankly, and it always has been and always will be. It's not fair, but it's, you know, that's the way the system's set up.
Doris, Democrat in Schenectady, New York. You're on with Dennis Kucinich.
I'm very pleased to be able to listen to Representative Kucinich, because he was the one I would have liked to have voted for president. He did not get a fair break from the media when he was running, and it was not fair. And the debates were always held with people who had the most money and had the most visual appeal, where Kucinich was telling the truth, and he wanted the fairness doctrine, and he deserved the fairness doctrine. I run an organization, national organization called RID, and for the past 32 years, we have brought down the deaths of drunk driving. What's happening now? Every person who is 16 years old has seen 50,000 ads to drink on every possible occasion. That's called the culture. Representative Kucinich is willing to address the culture. He's a very courageous man.
Congressman.
Well, I certainly appreciate you calling. And you're talking about Schenectady, and if I'm right, General Electric has had a strong presence in Schenectady over the years. I think of Schenectady and towns like it across the country who've lost jobs. This morning, before I came on the air, Peter, I was looking at the trade deficit, and it's about $380 billion for the last year that there was reporting, and we're seeing that it's increased in December of last year over the previous November by about $1 billion for, you know, a month. The problem is that our jobs are just going overseas, and we you know, places like Schenectady, Cleveland, Toledo, Detroit, places that help make America great, we're losing our jobs. These trade agreements don't have workers' rights, human rights, environmental quality principles. China's taken all, you know, these jobs. No rules there. People say, well, let's get rid of regulations here. You know what that does? That makes it easier to drive down wages. It makes it easier to send more jobs over to China. We have to impose regulations in our trade agreements and protect our jobs here. But, you know, I appreciate the woman calling from Schenectady. Thank you for your kind remarks. When you mention your town, I think of towns like it and what we need to do to get our economy moving again. Thank you.
Do you think there's a chance that the presidential debate system will change?
No, I mean, you know, look, the networks have a tremendous ability to set the participants. The gentlelady who called from Schenectady mentioned the FCC. Well, the Federal Communications Act of 1934 mandated that broadcast licensees serve in the public interest, convenience, and necessity. Not everyone's C-SPAN. Some of the networks are connected to financial interests, whose interests may be undermined if they heard certain things on the air. That's a problem. And, you know, I know as someone who's excluded from debates, even though I was polling at or near what some of the other candidates who run in the debates, I know what happens. You get excluded from the debates, you can't get your message out. And so, yeah, there's a tremendous amount of influence which TV networks have. There actually should be some kind of a nonpartisan system set up to determine the qualifications for people to be in the debate. It should not be arbitrary or capricious, and that, unfortunately, is what happens.